Hello, we are Coping Like Talk. We are back. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Lydia. So good to be here out with everybody again and talk about things that are important to our lives.
Yes, exactly. And your question every day since we moved to Pacific Northwest, your question is, where are we? So, why is that? What is that question?
Oh my! Well, first of all, I have lived in the Midwest all my darn life, many decades, and so when we when we transported ourselves by plane and train, automobile and truck to the Pacific Northwest, we experienced a lot of change, a lot of transition. The climate is so very different, right?
Right?
The terrain is so different, going from the flat Midwest to this hilly, verdant, tree-filled Pacific Northwest. What a transition! And
What a,
we go from the suburbs of a city, of a metropolitan area, to this small town in Oregon on the Columbia River. Oh, lots of changes, Lydia. So much. And so the question comes up, wow, where are we?
so, where are we?
Oh wow, still trying to figure that out, right?
Right.
But we are
And so,
we're in the right place, right?
I don't know.
The
Tell
culture is
me.
different, the terrain is different, the climate is different. Getting to my day job is very much different. Our ministry is different. But one thing
Yeah.
remains,
What remains?
our relationship together as a couple and our relationship with God.
Yes,
And
that's very true.
thankfully those are constants, right? By the
Constant.
grace of
Yes,
God.
wherever we are. And so, how many spaces and places and locations and contexts we changed in the last 21 years?
Oh my. Oh my.
And
Yep.
you're right that what is constant is not location,
Yep.
not the house, right?
Right.
But us. So us and
Yeah.
our family and our ministry and the purpose. So the purpose is what is constant. Though the vision changes every time we move to a new place, it changes.
Yep.
And the question that you ask me every morning and sometimes in the evening when you look over the Columbia River now, right? No
Yep.
longer Kansas City, no longer
Yep.
Independence, no longer St. Joseph, Missouri,
Yep.
but now Rainier, Oregon. And you look over Columbia River that is so
Mm,
serene and majestic and
yeah.
sometimes a little wavy. And you look over the bridge, and it's a very, very long bridge. And I hear you say, where are we?
Oh, well, I can't help but imagine when you first came to America so many years ago, if you asked the same question to yourself, to your daughter, to your son, where are we? Right?
Well, no, not really, because as I remember, since we are in a coping life talk, the podcast that you started back in during COVID,
Yeah.
of course, I could not even dream when I came to America that I will become a podcaster and I will have this husband of mine. I was not planning to be here. I was absolutely my mind, my soul, my dreams, my congregation were back in Russia.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about this time how many people in America who, by simply the situation they found themselves in out of fear. Because today, we are talking about where are we really, but also the subtext to that, since we are preaching tomorrow about do not fear. It's Advent.
Yeah.
And you and I talked a lot about the John the Baptist being in prison. Just
Mm,
like, what kind of joy Sunday is that? Tomorrow is
right.
Sunday of joy. And you
Yeah.
and I talked and wrestled and argued. It's like, what is the best way to truly
Mm,
um, focus on that? And so I'm moving a little because I see the people who watch me on a vertical screen, they might not see me. So we are Lydia and Scott, and we are Copy Left Off, and so our idea today is simply talk about life and how we cope. And as I said, we started back in COVID time, and then for 2 years nonstop, every Saturday, right? Out of
oh,
our
yes.
house on Ashland Avenue in St. Joseph, Missouri,
Yep. Yep.
we talked, and we had so many followers with our podcast
Mm,
who found it helpful at that time, and then we stopped for a while. We put it on hold. Why did we do
mhm.
that? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. Well, certainly it's some work to do that, right?
Absolutely, yes.
It's not just as simple as turning on the camera and connecting to the to StreamYard and just hopping into conversation. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. Meditation. Who should our guest be? Who can help us really address the questions of how do we cope in this world? Now, who can bring a perspective about a certain part of life that can be meaningful to the people that we've made a connection with over the
Absolutely.
last few years? Yeah,
Right.
it's not a
And
trivial thing.
oh, no, 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 absolutely not. And also, if you remember, we had so many guests
Hmm.
because I'm a, I think I'm a very realistic, and I realized that we cannot handle coping topic during COVID, especially without having specialists. So we had specialists in medicine, we had a specialist in healing, we had specialists in Alcoholic Anonymous
Yeah.
because people at that time started drinking more,
Oh
and we
yes.
wanted
Yep.
to address it too. So then we also had specialists simply for, if I remember, meditation,
Hmm.
um, and maybe some holistic approach to life.
Sure.
And that's what we
Yeah.
tried different approaches. And we had coaches, we had counselors, and we simply co-hosts them. Remember, we
Right.
co-hosted all these
Absolutely.
people. And then Candy Sheehan was our co-host.
Oh yes.
Sometimes we had lots of people from the community. We had the people from the Immigration Alliance.
All
We
right.
had people who taught English as a second language because
Mm-hmm.
myself, I'm an immigrant. And I knew and I remember how hard it is to assimilate. Like you brought up, like 5 years, love. I did not know
Oh.
that it is different. I just simply trying to so hard to fit in. I did not notice the difference between my life in Russia and my life here unless until one day just hit me between my eyes, and it
Mm,
was the time of depression, time of
yeah.
fear, time of realizing that no longer I could deny. I lived in denial for 5 years that I lost my
Mm,
country. I still want to cry. I seriously
mm.
lost my country, lost my the house where I grew up, all my friends, all my belongings, all my books. And then it took my mom and dad, our mom and dad, the grandparents of my children, to bring these books in suitcases, like books you have behind. They
Oh
look
yes.
great, but I don't have a way to show. But all the books they brought from Russia, we divided between three locations,
All right.
and we cherish them because those are Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Chekhov. We played, you see the piano, I play the music of Griboyed, of the vowels. And so all this I suppressed, I denied for 5 years. So now when I think of immigrants who come to this country, who are absolutely unprepared, by the run for their lives, That's how I did. I had to run for the life of my children, for my personal
Oh,
life,
yes.
for
Yeah.
survival. And that's what when I see when they are trapped, they are taken out of their houses and schools. Children are taken, separated from their parents. That's not something that is humane, and that's what I constantly think of my personal path and the journey. And I don't know how to help people to cope with what they experience now. But that's what your question, like where are we, applies today to our podcast, but also it's a huge layer of coping. And it's
Oh, yeah,
not only about
absolutely.
immigrants, it's about everything. People who, like, let's say a couple, they wake up one morning and it's just like, because of where they are in the relationship, they are just like, where are we? What happened to us? Right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So, what do you think?
Oh, I can't help but think of how major changes in our lives cause us to ask that same question. That couple gets the report that, oh, you're pregnant with your first child, or that first child comes into the world. Where are we? This is a very different world than where we were just a day ago before this child was born. Or you get a diagnosis from the doctor that uh, you have an untreatable illness, or you have a treatable illness, but that treatment is going to be difficult. You're in a
Yeah,
very different world than you were the day before.
absolutely. And so, fear, see, where we are really, and also the topic for tomorrow that you and I are wrestling with, do not fear. So I think it applies not only to this season, because we are in a season of holiday very
Yeah.
soon. The whole world celebrates, not the whole world, but people who celebrate Christmas. It's a big thing, so people continue shopping. Um, and again, somewhere on the background of their conscience and on the background of their souls, it's a question like, where am I? What am I doing? And sometimes we do hide behind the shopping, behind
Oh,
um,
yes. Yeah.
maybe watching movies nonstop, right?
Right.
Or doing going to the gym and exercising ourselves to death. But again, the question remains: where are we really in our life? And we are aging, and the people have to ask this question: where am I?
I'm reminded of, so you mentioned John the Baptist. So here's the guy that was victoriously and boldly and courageously saying, "Oh, the kingdom of God is coming. The Messiah is here. Oh, look, he's over there. Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world." He was so excited, and then a little bit later, he ends up in prison, and he had expectations about what this Messiah was going to bring, and those expectations weren't met. This Messiah was a lot different than John expected, and now John's in prison for preaching, and I imagine he's thinking, "Where am I?"
Great. I think it's a good connection because
Yeah.
it's where am I, or where are we really? It's a very deep question.
Oh,
It's
yes.
existential question, I would
Oh, yes.
say, and
Exactly.
it applies to hard, really hard situations. Like, of course, God forbids, hopefully not prison for many, but maybe now yes, but also prison of our own doing,
Right.
of our own mistakes, our own thinking, our own addictions, our own relationships. So
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
have to stop and say, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then also, who do I follow, right?
Right.
Like you
Right.
just said, John the Baptist probably has this moment of doubt, or
Was I following the right guy?
Yes, right. And so, do we follow the right guides in our life? And that's a moment that maybe sometimes it's too late to ask. And sometimes we just have to go back to where, you see, it's very
Mm,
hard to, because it could be anybody, our friend, our leader, our pastor, the author of the book, or certain movement, a cult,
yeah,
a religion, whatever it is, or financial decisions we make.
right,
So
right.
if you, or our addiction again, so whatever it is, takes us somewhere in life where we suddenly like, where are we really? But
Yeah.
let's talk about ourselves, because I know that we have our viewers who probably waited for us, and I appreciate your loyalty. I appreciate your connection, because every time I put a reel on a Facebook or a post, like a post with my thoughts. Today, for example, was a big day because, first of all, we felt ready to go live. It's a big thing. We went
Yeah.
once,
Yeah.
but then after that, the sense of like, okay, what do we share? We are trying ourselves to find the balance, trying to find the way to see family more often, and also having 5 locations where we go every
Oh
Sunday
my, yeah.
and during the week, and that stretches our sense of ability even to
Right.
have a balance. And it took us 5 months, almost six, to at least say, well, we have energy now and inspiration to get together and have this podcast for those who cope just like us.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, where are we? Tell us, where are we?
Oh Lord. Well, so life is full of new phases, right? Um, Certainly, you can choose to live a life where nothing ever changes. You get into your routines, your traditions, and many of those are really good. But if you get into a rut, there's an old saying that a rut is really a grave with both ends knocked out. So something to think about. You get stuck in a rut where nothing ever changes. Yeah, it's comfortable, but do you grow? Do you flourish? Do you experience all that life has for you? So for us, we had our we had our routines, our normal changed significantly, didn't we?
Yes, of course, yes. Even time zone, the time
Yeah,
zone.
time zone, climate, um, um, the environment, the terrain around us, our hours, right? Ministry has changed significantly. We went from you had your church, I had my church, and now somehow we try to oversee 5 churches together. But
True,
it's
and
it it's exciting though because we have a new challenge,
and
and we're
scary.
definitely scary. Definitely scary. Gosh, are we really doing the right thing? Are we doing this the right way?
Also, will people accept us? Each church has a very different
Uh,
culture, a
yeah,
very
yeah.
different tradition. And then in the beginning, as much as we try to show our brave faces and like, oh, we know stuff, of course we don't, because it's each church is different, and it takes time to build relationships, and
Yeah.
to build any trust, and that's a major thing. But you know what I've learned, and I think that's why we are finally here. We are finally here, ready to go live for the reason that I think, started sensing that sturdy ground under our feet,
Yes, yes.
and
Yeah,
right, and so,
yeah.
and
Good point.
also recovering the energy, learning to go to bed earlier, and it gets darker much earlier
Oh
here,
my goodness.
but we still wake up at our regular 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., 5:30, right?
Yeah.
And so, where I'm going with that is that I realized wherever we served, whatever church we ministered to, we've learned that what people truly, truly miss is joy. It's funny
Yeah, that's a
because
good point.
this is tomorrow is a Sunday of joy,
Yes.
and that's what I think we are talking today about. Where are we really? And then the subtopic for that is do not fear,
Yeah.
because we've learned to step into this without fear. I mean, it was lots of anxiety, but we trusted each other, right? We trusted
Yeah.
that we had a purpose to move closer to the family. We trusted that people naturally are friendly. People are looking forward to develop relationship, and so all we brought into this are ourselves, just us.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, you like us or you don't like us, this is who we are. We try to be honest with ourselves and authentic. And I think it started bringing that a sense of we're not here to move the mountains. We are not here to. I'm not that ambitious. And and I hear that you say my name was misspelled. Oh yeah, and so I'm
I don't
correcting.
see it right now, but
No, no, I see that. Yes, okay. See,
okay.
and so
That's important.
yes, that's important. And so
There you
I
go.
think when people are honest with each other, and instead of when fear suppresses our natural interest to other people and our natural need to be in community. So when we don't fear and we open ourselves for joy, we become that recipients of whatever God sends us. I think that's what
Yeah.
essentially our goal is, right? Very simple.
Right. Absolutely. And I can, we have our own challenges with integrating into this culture and to the environment and establishing relationships with people. But I can imagine our congregations struggle with, can we trust these people? Who are these people?
Of course, absolutely.
What do we actually have in common? Uh, where are they going to lead us? Are they going to take good care of us? Are we going to get good pastoral care, good
Yeah,
preaching? They're
right.
going to establish relationship with us. Can we trust them? Oh,
It's
understandable.
two sides. It's definitely you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It takes two always, like
Yeah.
you and I,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then when we come to a certain group of people, it's people and us, and also the community around.
Hmm.
And so we've learned a lot. We've faced lots of biases. We've
Yeah.
faced lots of, and the funniest thing was, since we talk about coping, was to find out how different, for example, Midwest, where we were, that I never, maybe once in my ministry time, I sensed that I'm a female pastor and the church never had a female pastor. So that was, but it took very short time that people adjusted. And
Yeah.
ever since, I never had a problem. And I remember how we are riding, and people absolutely think of a pastor only as a male.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the location, but it's like, oh, we prepared an office for Pastor Scott. And I just like, who am I?
Oh, yeah.
So it is funny, but it took us a while, and it takes time, but it's also coping, a big part of coping in a new place.
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely.
luckily, you are very, I would say, supportive from this point,
Mhm.
and we talk about it, and so gradually it became much easier. But also, the reason I think we were ready today for this podcast, because we crossed that moment in our time here when, as I said, we started like in energy and the sense of I think sense of confidence at one point, that because the time again, the climate, and this energy started getting lower than we normally have.
Yeah.
And then only today, when we after this river in the sky, after we had a week of
Oh, yeah.
also we have a house that is in the process of being resided. So we live a hotel, home, hotel, home. Tomorrow again, going back to the hotel. It's tiring, absolutely
Yeah.
tiring. But today, suddenly, a sunshine, and we got out of the house and we walked, and we saw this a group of police officers. And the reason I came to them was not even that they were selling something to fundraise money for Hope, a local charitable organization, but I just, back in my past, I was on the board of Strength for Service, which is the
Oh,
first
yes. Yeah.
responders. And as a church, I think it's important to develop relationships with the police officers, with the firefighters, medical professionals, with the ambulances. So anybody who comes first when it is emergency. And so when I saw this group of police officers, I came and we started taking pictures. We talked, and here it was a mayor of the city, Jerry Cole, and then it was a chief of police. So I said, guys, we really want to honor you, to invite you to our church, and we took pictures. And I don't know, it was the start of the day
Yeah.
that we find the whole thing, and then you have ended it with the voice lesson. And
Oh,
it's
right.
absolutely two different things, right? But we serve churches, you sing, and people love it. And so today, when I saw you singing, taking your voice lesson for after a long time of not singing and
Yeah.
taking lessons, I felt like the balance is restored. And again, if we did not come here, would you even have time to do that? Because interestingly enough, we were in Kansas City, maybe more opportunities to take professional voice lessons. We didn't have time. So, what changed in you that you suddenly, like, with all these questions, where am I really? Where are we really? Don't fear. And you suddenly found a voice teacher and you decided to take voice lessons. What changed?
Oh, goodness. Well, some of it is it's just kind of finding my rhythm in this new world, and certainly we had to find our new rhythm in ministry, having gone from uh, you were the sole pastor of one church, I was the sole pastor of another church, and now, oh my goodness, we are working together as a team with you as the lead. Um, we have to figure out also how is it that we do work together, right? A lot of challenges there. So we've made a lot of progress in that rhythm. I'm finding my place in my day job in this new world. But one of the big factors is I'm getting closer and closer to retirement. And I'm thinking about, well, so what am I going to do during retirement? I've worked 31 years in the field of IT. I have worked since the age of 14. How do I retire? What do I do with myself? And so I came to the place where I thought, I'm gonna use this time of retirement as a time for learning and growing. I want to take classes. I want to pick voice lessons back up, maybe take guitar lessons, maybe take a history class. I want this to be a very fruitful time for me. And today's voice lesson was really energizing and confidence restoring and helped me feel a little better about entering into yet another new phase of life where I will probably ask on the first day of my retirement, where are we? Right?
Yeah, I love your conversations when you start imitating, which is, I always say, stop it. When you say, oh, when we will be 90 and walk with walkers, I said, stop it. We are not going to do that. God forbid, because I always remind you of our 94, 98, and even 100-year-old members who are
Oh,
still
yeah.
active, still even
Yep.
driving. And yes, and I think the secret for that is to maybe at one point ask yourself a question like, where am I? How old am I? Am I aging? Oh my goodness. And like you said, oh, I'm close to retirement. I need to do something.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
live longer now. And look at this migration, and people have to move to find affordable place to live,
yeah.
or they move because of the job, like we did. And so, and then all this adjustment, and it's good. It's scary and it is stressful, but it is good because it, like in looking at you, I realized you just got so energized suddenly, and you started pursuing the dreams you had to put aside for a while.
Yeah,
And same
yeah.
with me. So we have so many interests, and meeting people who have similar interests. I think that's a secret of staying together. First of all, coming back to your roots, but also listening to other people's dreams. And
Um,
maybe together we can remind each other that, yes, this is a good question, a scary question. Where are we really? When I found you one morning at 7, standing outside like
mhm.
this, and looking
Oh,
over the river in silence, and then
yeah.
turning to me with this existential question, like, where are we? I thought you were scared, but gradually I realized that
No.
no, you're not. There is no fear. It's simply curiosity and the interest to life, whatever it unwraps. Am I right?
No, you're exactly right. So let me raise this question then.
Okay.
I have heard it said that wherever you go, that's where you are, right? And so, one example comes to mind of the person who they're in a relationship and they find that their partner is a jerk, and so they leave the relationship and they go into the next relationship, and their partner is a jerk, and they leave the relationship, and that pattern follows. Or maybe they have a job, they lose their job because the boss said this or this, and the boss is a jerk. They go to the next job, so on and so forth. But so what it ends up being is no matter where you find yourself, you bring your same self with you, with your strengths, with your weaknesses, right? Um, and so when we ask the question, where are we really? All right, so maybe the circumstances have changed, but we bring our same selves there.
True.
And so I wonder when when God, when our choices, when circumstances bring us into a new place, are we prepared to grow and to learn, to be introspective and look at, how can I flourish in this new place? How can I take ownership of who I am, what I am, and make these new circumstances a place of flourishing and growth and fruitfulness.
Interesting what you brought up because I think the main factor in not being fearful is first of all to really be honest with yourself and say, okay, this
Mm,
is who I am. And so then the next one is wherever I go, I bring whoever I am with
yeah,
me.
yeah,
And it applies to relationships, it applies to jobs, and it applies to moving. So maybe that's what
yeah,
it is, that even when we crossed so many states and there's so many miles and climates and time zones, and now start building our new life here, what actually and where our strength is in ourselves,
yeah.
because
That's true.
nobody is responsible for our well-being, or what we eat, or how we feel, right, about what we see around. Like today, even meeting this group of police officers, we could just simply pass them and like, oh, okay, it's like police officers. Or some people pass police with anger, not even
Mhm.
trying to understand that people try to do their job. Uh, and then, of course, if they do it with integrity and
Sure.
within the boundaries. But again, so when we come to others with curiosity, but also with honesty, and trust in ourselves and trust in others without judgment that we
Sure.
normally people kind of display right away when we see other people. It's a huge question, but I think you touched something very important that we can continue next time. So
Yes.
we really so our podcast is Coping Life Talk, and we come with different topics every week. And this is how we did it for 2 years. But we used to go for an hour, and I think really when you analyze, like, why did we stop and put it on hold for a while? There were two reasons. First of all, I think it's yes, it is tiring. It's an hour of our day plus preparation. But also, remember, we had guests, so we had to. I put lots of efforts to find interesting speakers, even from abroad, and that gave us lots of
Right.
resources. But then we gradually exhausted the topic that was relevant for COVID, and we started feeling like and noticing that we are repeating the
Right.
same maybe topic under different title with different maybe sources, different guests. So we decided bravely, you see, where are we? We asked the question like, where are we? Okay, and you have to be honest with yourself. We stopped.
Right.
We
Yep.
stopped. We moved to Independence, Missouri. We regrouped. At that time, I had a coffee hour that I asked other people to lead.
All right.
No, we will not go for an hour. We already are behind. So we decided 30 minutes. This is our kind of parameter, our frame. So we reframed our Coping Life Talk into a new, first of all, 30-minute podcast. Also, we will start like we started, just us, until we maybe start feeling that, well, let's invite this person, that person. So we promise we will have interesting people from the communities, writers, speakers, podcasters, actors, singers. So whatever will feed into the need of the week, because we want to be relevant. We don't want to, of course, jump from topic to topic, but Hope in Life Talk has lots of answers for situations that we people face every day. So where are we really? Is a topic for today. But send us your questions, send us your opinions, and also feedback. That maybe next week we will go live. Not at 5 p.m. like we used to, because now the time zone is like a little. So since this will be repeated on YouTube, on different Facebook pages, so you can always find us. But please contact us and send us your questions, and we will frame and word the topic for the next Saturday podcast with your help. So God bless you. Be ready for happy holidays. Be happy. Be joyful. Do not fear, and ask yourself today and tomorrow, whenever you have time to watch our podcast and meet with us, ask this question: where am I really? What's going on in my life? Where are we really as a couple? Where are we really as a community? Where are we really as a church? Okay, sounds good.
Yep. Love it.
Scott, and I'm so happy for you today and for both of us, because we're rediscovering who we are and where we are, and I think it gives us new energy now, and
Yes. Absolutely.
that is this podcast. Have a good evening. God bless you, and we will see you next week.
Bye bye.